Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the Memo. We are coming at you from pretty much all over the place. We hope you're all staying safe out there, doing well. We're trying to get as many episodes out to you as possible in this quarantine. Make sure you go check out the new website. A bunch of articles up there, including one from Mr. Masados pretty recently about the Thundercat album, which was actually, I listened to most of it so far, and I really like it. And your review definitely pushed me into listening to it. But we got.
Happy to hear that.
Yeah, no, it was good. I'm excited to see the future music pieces, so I can finally start to branch out instead of listening to the same 5 songs.
I think I'll review Tory Lanez's album next, dropping tonight.
Oh, really?
He has an album coming out.
Yeah. He has an album coming out tonight. I haven't really listened to much of his stuff in the past, but excited to give him a listen. He's been on the rise.
Cool. Well, we have a few things to talk about today. The MLB seems to be trying to get in motion a plan to actually play the season instead of canceling it and having a bunch of teams and players get fucked over. They're really trying to move forward with this innovative plan. We're going to talk about that. Brandin Cooks is on his 45th team in the NFL. He gets traded again. This guy just cannot stay with the team. And, he's a good player, so it's weird. We'll get more into that. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the NFL draft and how they're going to go about it this year. They're going virtual, sort of like the Memo, I think they tuned in to an episode. They saw how effective the communication can be, and they ran with it. So we have a lot of
influence. What they did.
We're the only ones that use Zoom. So
yeah, we have a lot of influence on the NFL decision making. So we're gonna talk a lot about that. But Matt, given he's wearing the Nationals jersey, I'm gonna let him do the honors and start off giving us a little rundown of what baseball's trying to do here.
I appreciate the nod. With all due respect, I want to redirect that to Alex. He seemed the one that was the most tuned into the plan yesterday. If you wouldn't mind giving a quick rundown of the reported plan that MLB is working on to get baseball back, because I just don't know the details too much.
Sure. So basically,
I'm busy these days. I got a lot going on.
Yeah, I can tell. The MLB is in the very early stages of formulating a plan to maybe get the season started in the month of May, which is way sooner than everybody expected. And their way of being able to play the season without spreading the virus and infecting players is playing every game at 10 ballparks in Arizona, including Chase Field, some spring training facilities, some practice facilities. No fans, obviously. Like I said, very early stages of the plan. Some things that are being considered are double headers, 7-inning double headers every day to get the full 162 game season in a shortened amount of time. They're considering having players not sit in dugouts, but actually in the stands with like 6 feet in between each of them. So like probably a few seats in between each of them in the stands. They've discussed having virtual umpires so that umpires wouldn't have to like be standing close to players and calling balls and strikes and like breathing all over the catcher. And yeah, basically each player would have to isolate or quarantine amongst their teammates in hotel rooms in Arizona for the full 4 months of the season, or however many months it's going to be. And apparently this plan is like backed by CDC officials, and it's looking like there's going to be baseball soon, which is crazy to think. I from my understanding, it's in the very early stages of planning. So like, obviously a lot of things are going to change. Nothing is set in stone. But it looks like momentum is building towards the MLB season starting in May.
I mean, that's exciting. That definitely sounds like good news for sports fans who have been desperate for any sort of live sporting events right now. Just on the surface, though, it just sounds like there's so many moving parts involved in making that work. I can tell you for sure if it does actually get put into action, it would be the weirdest visual we have ever seen. Players sitting in the stands, no fans, no umpire. I mean, it just sounds so ridiculous when you read it out like that. But listen, if it's backed by the CDC, like you said, high-ranking health officials seem to think that it's an option. I'm not going to be in a position to knock on any sort of brainstorm or any idea that someone's coming up with to get sports back. So I think it's worth a try.
I mean,
let's see what happens.
Yeah, I think it's really cool what baseball is doing, that they're trying to figure this out. How realistic it is, I don't know. Like, how do you operate baseball without being able to sell a single ticket or a single hot dog or a single anything at the stadium? Like, how does the Major League Baseball fund their operation into the season? I don't understand. What are they going to do with paying players? Are the players going to take a pay cut? Then how do you justify them going out there and sacrificing half the year to play baseball, not being able to see their family, being around a lot of people, exposing themselves potentially to the virus? And MLB teams, it's not just like you set a roster and that's it for the whole season. They're minor leaguers that need to be called up. What if you need to call somebody up who's not in Arizona and then they have to come in and then they're asymptomatic or have the virus or whatever? One person gets into this very, very isolated group of 1,000 or so people, and it starts to spread amongst them. It's fucked. It's
Yeah, so they'd start it, and then if it creeps in somehow, they stop, and then it was all nothing.
And then there's also the flip side of things where you have to keep testing these players to make sure that they're not being exposed to COVID-19. How many tests are you going to waste on perfectly people who are the least at risk? They're athletes, they're very in shape, they're very healthy for the most part. We're going to waste tens of thousands of tests on these players? I personally don't think that's a good idea.
Interesting, though, and I get what you're talking about in terms of the financials of it, but if you think about it from a player's perspective, even if they take a pay cut, what's the alternative? It's either they get paid half their salary or a fraction of their salary, or they don't play and they make no money. So, I mean, I think the players would rather go out there and play and make some money for their families and be able to bring in the income. And the same thing goes for the owners. They'll make less money. You have no concessions. You have no people buying souvenirs in the stands. But the alternative is just nothing. So from that perspective, I feel like it would be a welcome sign to everyone involved to at least bring in some revenue from TV deals and be able to fund some salaries.
I wonder about the smaller level jobs involved with the teams. How are they going to get to every stadium? Are they going to take a bus? Is there going to be a bus driver for every team that also has to stay isolated with them and away from his family? Probably. Is there going to be? Are they going to be in walking distance so they all walk instead? Those low level employees that you're not seeing. It's just the amount of people that have to be in this bubble and controlled and being watched after and making sure they're getting food and water, and they obviously won't be able to go to the grocery store and stuff. So how do you navigate all that? It's going to be interesting.
It sounds
That's the questions that they're going to have to answer over the next couple weeks if this is going to happen. There's I think there's ways to figure out solutions or get the logistics down to be able to try it out. As far as minor leaguers, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, because obviously people go on the IL all the time in baseball. people, it's like a constant flow up and down, majors, minors. I'm thinking like if you have 3 or 4 guys in their system, like in Arizona with them, just kind of in like a waiting pattern, like just if they're called upon, 4 guys at a time, you have to bring one up. Then it starts, get some guy from the minor league system. They have a 2-week isolation period, and then bring them there. Like if you have a set amount of guys available at all times, maybe it could work.
Yeah, but then like you're drawing from a minor league system that is not happening. Like
they wouldn't be playing. That's the problem.
Yeah, like it would be like taking a guy off his couch and being like, "All right, come play for the Yankees."
Yeah. You'd have to have them practice with the team, but they wouldn't be playing.
And
right.
I think
they would have to be doing their own like isolated practices, like staying prepared for the season. I'm sure a lot of these coaching staffs are like doing that kind of stuff through like Zoom and all that shit, but like it's just the logistics of it seem like very, very, very the scope of it is very large, and if they pull this off, it would be incredible. It would be really cool.
Yeah.
And I think a big question is, do other sports leagues get to follow a similar method? I mean, basketball's a contact sport. Hockey's a contact sport. Those are the 2 other sports that would be going on right now. I'm not going to include football because it's months away. But can the NBA do this? Can they have players sitting 6 feet apart when they're on the court and posting up and banging and playing defense and all around each other in a very isolated area? I don't know. I mean, and in baseball too, everyone's throwing the ball to each other. People stand next to each other on the base. People get tagged. There will be touching and physical contact, and people close to each other.
Pitchers are constantly licking their hands and shit like that.
They're throwing it to the catcher every play, so they're between each other. People are hitting the ball and then throwing the ball, the bat away, and a bat boy's picking it up. There's
well, you
contact.
have to know that those people don't have any virus.
Yeah, so
if they're tested and they're clean. Then
it's just
the touching wouldn't really matter.
I guess it's sort of we'll sit in the stands, social distance when you can, but you kind of got to run with the punches, and people are gonna touch. And
you can't do any sport at 6 feet apart. No sport can function that way. With completely following.
But and then rules. I mean, I guess it's like just tennis. Do it just to do it, but I'm saying like whatever, do the 6 feet apart, but at that point, like if someone gets it in the MLB, they'll shut down anyway. So why even do all that extra stuff? They might as well sit. They might as well sit in the dugout. Like if you're gonna have them all together anyway, there's just as much risk.
I agree with
if
you.
Someone,
I don't see the point.
If someone gets it, they're gonna have it, and then
I don't see why it would matter how far apart they are.
If they're playing,
if they're playing the games, then why not just put them in the dugout? Is it an optical thing?
No, that's like a common. People like a lot of people. Like that health officials come out and say that way of thinking is like completely wrong.
What way of thinking?
Some social distancing is better than no social distancing at all. So like where you can do it, you have to do it. That's why like places like New York City are having such a problem, because it's like you walk outside and you physically can't do it, but like they're not going to start shooting people who aren't doing social distancing.
But isn't that amongst social distance when you can amongst people who, if you don't know if they're positive or not? Like if you and I were to go right now, it's a precautionary measure. If you and I were to go right now and get tested, this could be an ignorant thing that I'm going to say, and correct me if I'm wrong. If you and I were to go right now and get tested, we get the results back tomorrow morning that we don't have it. Couldn't we just like fucking hook up if we wanted to?
You can get it at any time though, and the CDC's recommendation is always going to be act as if you have the virus.
Will you kiss me though?
Will you buy me a drink?
No, I get that. I get what you're saying. My point, I think, that I'm making is that if you're going under the assumption that these games are being played because the players have been tested and they're negative, and everyone in this bubble doesn't have coronavirus, why are you gonna half social distance and then also share the same baseball if everyone does
I think the biggest thing is you're putting a lot of trust into the players to like isolate themselves, quarantine, be smart, and like how many MLB players are in the MLB? Like 40 men on each roster, 30 teams. Like it's like 1,200 people. Like one of them is gonna like meet like an Arizona chick, like fuck her, get coronavirus, and like fuck the whole league up.
Yeah.
That's true.
I was going to say,
they need to have armed guards
like,
around the hotel.
it's almost,
That would be insane.
so I'm assuming they're going to be in these hotels and they probably can't all hang out, right? They're going to have to be in their rooms, like isolated, but that's what they're going to go for, right? Like you're rolling your eyes, like they're not going to do that, but that's what they want them to do.
There was talk
yes.
that they'd be bringing their families. People can.
They could bring their
their
family. I was
wife-
going to say,
their wife
like,
and kids.
mentally, if you're just isolated,
Never gonna work.
That you're just taking
what about-
that 1,200 and multiplying it by like 4.
the people. What about the people who don't have a wife and kids? You know, like they're just going to be stuck in these
They get
rooms
to
by
bring a
themselves.
plus
Like,
one.
yeah, exactly. It's
And they could bring fans too. Whoever wants to stay for the season.
they're just
That'd
gonna
be
say all
sick.
they're gonna say all these like extra things they can do, and it's just gonna be a full stadium. With the normal-
Yeah, everybody gets 3 fans in the stadium.
This is gonna be like opening day, and like ESPN is gonna have the camera on Manfred. He's just gonna be like, "What?"
Yeah, listen,
Yeah,
it might
but-
have gotten carried away. But
if their plan is to really have these players isolate themselves outside of the games and be alone in these hotels, like I don't think you're gonna have mentally stable people to play baseball. They're gonna be losing
they're
their
doing
minds.
it now. Everyone's
But they're with
quarantined now.
their families. I'm saying, well, you said they might be able to bring their families, but I'm saying if most of these guys are just isolated, because I think it'd be dumb to bring the families. Honestly,
I think
Yeah,
so too.
I
But I
think
mean,
so.
is it the end of the world if you have to go to Arizona for 2 months and play baseball every day?
For
No.
These
2
guys
months.
do.
I guess the whole doubleheader
the
every
plan
day
isn't to
That
do
sounds
the
like
whole
hell.
Season. The plan isn't to do the whole season in Arizona. They want to do this now so they can squeeze in 162 games. So it
And
would be
then
like that
when-
until it's like July, August, when it might be expected they can go to stadiums with no fans probably. But as far as I read, like I don't think the plan would be to do a full season in Arizona. It's just get the games in, and if it's okay to switch out, they would do that. Assuming
But
it becomes okay
when
to
the-
switch out, which is still up in the air.
Yeah, and like it's not gonna be like one day they announce like, all right, everybody, like you can go back outside. It's gonna be like people who are immune to it, you're allowed to go, and then like only if you have an essential like job, and then like people who are immune to it and are not essential are gonna be let back, and then like everything's gonna happen slowly, and like if
Right.
one player on your team is like, I can go back into society, like. Fuck this! I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
you have to control all these guys.
There will be a point, though, where sports gets the approval to restart with no fans. That's part of that transitional process. That will be a day will come where
Yes.
it's like, okay, now we can do this, and then maybe that's when they leave Arizona.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Sounds like a logistical nightmare.
Yeah. Well, they're trying, and I appreciate them trying.
Yeah, I mean, we're fucking losing our
7
minds
inning
out here.
double headers. The fuck. Teams would
Imagine
be
watching
shot.
2 Yankee games every day.
Oh, it'd be fantastic. Would you have literally nothing else to do?
I was
Richard
reading-
still wouldn't watch baseball.
I wouldn't. I would read my book that I've
What are you
been
reading now? All of a sudden, you're a
Yeah,
scholar.
what's this book?
I have it right here.
What is it?
See
The
this?
history of the Lakers?
It's called Dune.
What's it about?
It's an old science fiction book. It was written in like 1965, but they're making a movie out of it, and
What's
it
it
has a pretty.
about?
I'm gonna say it has like a pretty cool cast. So I was like kind of looking into it, and a lot of people describe it as like Lord of the Rings and Star Wars sort of mix, like space, but like a fantasy epic, which is right up my alley. So with the movie coming out, I wanted to read the book. and there's like 6 books or something, but the first one's the longest, I think. But I'm only like 40 pages in, so I don't have much of a grasp of what it is. But
Is it cool so far?
Yeah. I mean, there's this kid, and he has. I'm assuming he's like some sort of chosen one with this special power, because he meets with this old witch woman, and like she can sense the power in him, and he can like sense when people are telling the truth and shit. I don't know. I got to get more in. I got it from Allie, and she was saying you might want to read it with like an audiobook or like a YouTube book club that can like go over the chapters with you, because it's like.
Are you gonna do that?
I might, like, it's like watching a show, you know, like you want to watch a review, like a recap or something to make sure you caught everything.
I haven't read a book in.
I like that.
Since high school, probably. Honestly.
That's the thing, though. That's what the point we're at. I haven't read in so long, and I'm just like, give me this 800-page book, please.
Yeah, you really jumped in head first. You didn't ease yourself in with a smaller book.
I was actually.
You won't finish that by the time quarantine's over.
I might. I was reading it before.
A lot of money.
I have the illustrated versions of the Harry Potter books. They're up to number 4 now. But Alyssa got me like a set of the 4 for Christmas, so I was reading the first one just like to do something besides play Fortnite. So I've been in sort of a reading groove.
What's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying I didn't just jump into this huge book. I was kind of reading a little bit already.
You got lubed up to it?
Yeah. And then I went right in head first.
I've been Jesus. I've definitely a few times I like told myself I would get into reading, and I like order a cool book off Amazon, read the first chapter, and then never pick it up again.
Yeah, I was looking at like the table of contents of this.
I have no patience.
And it said like book 1, book 2, and book 3. So I was like, oh, is this 3 books in one? And it's like way less intimidating. Like I'm reading like 3 like 200-something page books. And then I did a little research, and it was like, nah, the first book's just split into 3 acts. And they say, and I was like, okay. So I am in for a lot here.
I started rewatching The Sopranos, so that's
really.
Where I'm at.
I still haven't finished it.
What is wrong with you?
I loved it too.
You just suddenly stopped. The second half of season 6 is like, it's tough to get through in the beginning. How far did you get?
I'm on the second half of season 6. I don't remember where I got to.
You watched all of that and didn't finish it?
I know that. I've seen the ending scene before I watched it.
Scene.
Yeah, but you know. I know.
The last 2 episodes are sick.
I know people that die. I know, like.
Don't you want to watch it?
I do. I think I might watch it. I might watch it tonight. But I got to see. This is the problem.
There goes the book now.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm gonna say. I want to read, but I want to watch shows. I want to watch my show, The Expanse, that I've been watching. But I want to watch old shows I haven't finished. But I want to read these books.
And you want to play Fort.
And I want to play Fort. And I want to do stuff for the Memo.
Well, this is the time, dude. We have nothing but time. Right now.
I know,
so
but
I'm trying to figure out all the. I sat in my room for 20 minutes deciding if I was going to rewatch The Sopranos or The Wire, and that was my afternoon today. I was like, dude, but they're both good. But like
stuff like that is so funny. Like I could be like opening myself to new things and like new art, whatever. And I'm like, I'll watch The Chamber of Secrets.
It's like, why? Yeah. There's so many shows I could check out.
Yeah, I'm happy I watched the Train to Busan, though, the other day.
Oh, that's a good movie. Alex, you should watch that.
It's really good.
We're on a big international film streak here.
You guys got to watch. I mean, I don't know if you have Hulu. I'll give you my login. I don't know if I'll get arrested for that, but I'll give you my login to Hulu. You got to watch Parasite.
I use your login for everything.
I know. Matt's really mooching off me.
Yeah.
But you got to watch that.
I did want to check that out. Movies, I can't watch movies. I don't know why.
It's so hard to
like. You said you were on a hot streak.
Yeah, like the Platform and Train to Busan, I watched those in back-to-back nights. So if you call that's a hot streak for me.
It's so tough. Like honestly, the hardest part for me is thinking about how I have to search for a movie. I'm like, oh, I have to look for it. Like, I don't know already what I want to watch.
Yeah, and I say that too, and I ripped through Better Call Saul in like 3 days, and it's like fucking 50 hours of television. But I can't. I struggle to sit through a 2-hour movie. I don't understand
that
why.
though. All right, I have very conflicting thoughts on binging, but that's also the great feeling of I really want to keep watching this, and like and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's
cliffhangers get you.
Yeah.
All right, gotta watch another episode.
Yeah, that was with early Game of Thrones. That was the best.
Mm-hmm.
The other day.
Watched it. You watched Game of Thrones as it was airing, so you had to wait a week.
Yeah, no, but like that was the best part. I'm just saying like in general watching a show, that excitement of like, ooh, what's gonna happen next? Like, I love it.
Yeah.
And then it was disappointing in the end.
Yeah.
And I called it on the memo because of Travis Scott.
Yeah, dude, you were right.
I don't know. I like. I've always had this thought that I like TV shows way more than movies because you get much more invested into the people.
Yeah.
Like the movies, I don't even know the characters' names in the movies. When I watch a movie, I just call them the actor's name. And I'm like, that guy did this.
It's very hard for me to.
Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
It's very hard for me to like go back and watch classic movies and movies that have been out, whatever. But I love going to the movies, so that's how I like to watch movies. Like, if I'm home, I'd rather watch a show. But if I'm like, I like going to the movies, so that's how I get my
yeah,
fill.
that makes sense. It's like an event.
Yeah.
But like I watched like the. Have you guys seen The Irishman?
No.
I might watch that again. That's a great movie. But like you said, Robert De Niro, I don't know a single person's name in that movie, and I loved it.
You don't know
about Jimmy
Joe.
Hoffa?
You don't know Joe Pesci and Al
Jimmy
Pacino.
Hoffa, he's in it.
He's Al
He's Al
Pacino,
Pacino, yeah.
and Joe
I
Pesci's
know.
in it.
No. I'm saying I know the actors. I don't know the characters'
Oh.
names that they play.
Yeah,
I just know that it's De Niro, Pesci, and.
That's also hard with shows at first. It's like so many people.
Yeah,
and then
but
you're like,
but
ooh.
when you watch it for like 3 seasons and like all these people, you pick up on it a little bit better.
You guys should watch The Leftovers.
I want to.
I've heard good things.
It's 3 seasons. It's mad short.
I just
It's nice
can't.
and easy.
I just like we were
What's
talking
it
about
on?
before.
It's on HBO.
Oh.
Pretty sure. It's real good.
It is on
that's
HBO.
That's a show that I watched. I watched the first 2 seasons and didn't finish it. But it's not because it's bad. It's just like you fall off the horse. Tough to get back.
It's
on.
so hard.
It's so hard. That guy, the guy who made The Leftovers, he also made Lost, but he also made the show Watchmen, which came out last year that I watched. So that I really
Spiro
liked.
loved that show.
Yeah, I didn't like the ending, but I'm not going to talk about that. But I liked that, so I was like, I should watch The Leftovers. I watched most of season 1 actually, and I liked it. I just, like you said, you fall off.
Season 2 is much better.
I saw the episode in the hotel. It was cool.
Cool sewed.
Maybe I'll watch it.
Yeah. All right, let's get back on track here. If you
How did we get here?
We were just talking about being stuck in
Richard's
quarantine.
book.
Baseball.
Oh yeah.
From baseball to The Leftovers.
I was saying
The
like
range.
we were saying quarantine's making us do things we don't normally do, and here we are. But the Texans are doing things they normally do. They're making dumb decisions, and they're trading picks.
What a segue.
They're trading picks for receivers with 5 concussions.
Yeah.
All right, I don't mean
Why
to.
don't you break it down for us?
I don't mean to start it off with negativity. I think Brandin Cooks, when healthy,
The
solid
Texans
player. But
trade.
yeah,
Yeah, let's So what happened? What was the trade?
So we
It just
had.
happened like a few hours ago, right?
yeah.
Yeah, that was today. It was the Texans sent a 2nd-round pick,
57th overall.
57th overall, to the Rams in exchange for Brandin Cooks. And was it next year's 4th-round pick?
I think so.
Weird, but that's what it was. So basically, I mean, immediate return, it's a 2nd-round pick for Brandin Cooks.
Who is a young player who obviously is good, you know. I'm not going to say he's
Yeah, he's
amongst
good.
the elite, but he's good. you
He's
like.
boom or bust.
He's not DeAndre Hopkins by any means, but he's better
Not
than what
even
they
close.
had before. Whoever was going to fill Hopkins' role, so they have Cooks, Fuller, Stills, and another guy who's the same brand of human.
Kiki
Um,
Cutie.
Is it Cutie?
He's a
there's-
receiver that has
there's-
been on the Texans.
There's one more guy. I forgot. Ian Rappaport.
Andre Johnson.
Let me find out.
They have the J.J. Watt.
Oh, Randall Cobb.
Do they have J.J.
Hmm.
Watt?
Yeah, you didn't
Who's
hear
that?
about his donation to
No,
Houston
I-
flood victims?
Huh. I must have not been on any social media the past 3 weeks, or else I should
They have
seen it everywhere.
Randall Cobb. Are those not like the same brand of player? Like, all right, they're a little different skill set wise, but they're kind of small, speedy, and they're always nicked up a little bit.
Fuller's not small.
Well, he's like a Robbie Anderson. He's like 6'3" and skinny twig.
Yeah.
But they're speedy.
That's not a bad receiving core. They just don't have like a stud.
Which is
You don't-
weird because
You don't need that
they
though.
had the best receiver in football 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. You don't
And
need
they
to
traded
have.
for David Johnson.
Yeah, that's a whole other story that we got into. So go check that out. Last episode, but you don't need that to win. So
You
I'm
need to
just
not
gonna
have
worry
Bill
about,
O'Brien as your head coach to win.
yeah, no, I'm just saying it doesn't
And they
matter.
should probably
It-
worry about maybe like Deshaun Watson getting sacked less.
Yeah, maybe trade for a tackle. Well, they did trade for
They did.
Tunsil last year, who's really good.
But he's still getting sacked at like a record pace.
Yeah, they need to get more than him, but
They can't do that if they keep trading their picks.
so yeah, they don't have a first and second round pick now, right?
They got one for Hopkins. They have the Cardinals' second-round pick.
I thought they traded that for Cooks.
Then they had their own second-round pick. They had 2 second-round picks.
You said it's the
okay.
57th pick, right?
Yeah.
And that can't be the Cardinals pick.
Oh yeah, because they're ass.
Yeah.
But who? I thought I saw someone say they don't have a first and a second round pick, but I guess it was wrong.
No, they have pick 40 from
Okay,
the Cardinals.
but they don't have a first.
Correct. They don't
That
have a
sucks.
first next year either.
So they just don't have pieces to continue building around Deshaun Watson because they let Bill O'Brien run the team.
Yeah.
I never understand what the Texans' plan is. They're
There's
always
none.
like making trades,
They're like the Panthers. They
No.
don't have a plan.
but they're always making moves. They're always making moves, and it's just like
Yeah, they trade so much.
And here's the issue.
Yeah.
This is the time where you need draft picks because you're going to have to pay Watson in like the next year. So you're not getting anyone through free agency anymore. You're going to be cash strapped. You need to get your studs in the draft. You don't have a first round pick for 2 years. You had 2 second round picks. You just traded another one for an pretty injury prone wide receiver who's getting concussions, which is like the worst long term injury in football.
He's also
He's five.
he's not
overpaid.
like
He's
not
making
like a
18
stud.
million this year.
Here's the thing too. He doesn't miss that many games during the season, which is weird. He's actually played 16 games, like 4 out of his 6 seasons I think he's played. Or is it 3 out of his 5 seasons?
He
His
probably
rookie year he
needs to
played
be
10.
early a bunch.
Yeah, his rookie year he played 10, and last year he played 14. Otherwise, he's always played all 16. But he's had 5 concussions. One was in the Super Bowl, I think. He must have had one last year when he missed 2 games. Maybe his rookie year he had one when he missed 6. But
He's overpaid. He makes $18 million a year.
yeah, that doesn't matter in the grand scheme.
and he's
The
not
salary
he's not
cap's
like
going to go up.
If you're talking about re-signing Deshaun Watson, though, you're bringing
Yeah.
all these guys on big contracts,
Yeah, you got probably Watt on a big contract.
overpaid too.
Watson's he's gonna probably break the record for the deal.
Yeah,
You know,
almost
No, Patrick
100%.
Mahomes. He's getting paid this offseason.
Mahomes.
Yeah. He's gonna get $50 million.
So who gets paid first, Mahomes or Watson? Because if Mahomes
they're both up at the same time. They're in the same
yeah.
class. But
really,
I thought like they were saying earlier after the Super Bowl that the Chiefs were trying to extend Mahomes this offseason. We'll see, but I mean, Mahomes is going to be the highest paid.
You know they have $177 in cap space.
The Chiefs?
I saw a post about it. They have. It might have changed since I saw it. It was maybe a week ago. They had $177 in cap space.
They're also returning 20 of their 22 starters.
Yep.
So.
And the two that left were Stephen, I don't know how to say it, Wiswinski. He's a like guard. No.
Oh.
He's like a old ass guard / center, like in his mid-30s.
Like that, Alex?
And I forgot who the other. It was like two guys who were not really that relevant. That probably can easily replace their production. But
yeah.
So they just have the Super Bowl team. But did they improve?
I don't know. But
do they need to?
I don't know. Other teams are improving.
No, they're going to give Mahomes a ridiculous contract, and Watson is going to get paid too to keep it with the Texans. It just seems like they're a team that's not contending for a Super Bowl. I think that this Brandin Cooks move was a way to stay competitive for this season. I don't really think he's in their long-term plans because of the cap charge. He's, like I said, $18 million a year. That he's not worth that. And he's making more money this year than DeAndre Hopkins was. But the Rams are paying some of that.
Look, he still has good weapons around him, Hopkins, but it's just a shame that he's stuck with this guy, O'Brien.
Watson.
Oh, I said Hopkins. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it is
wasting.
The guy likes to wheel and deal.
They could be so good.
He should have re-signed with the Texans.
They should have been so good, but dude, they had
an extension.
They had J.J. Watt and Jadeveon Clowney, Deshaun Watson, and DeAndre Hopkins. Should have been able to have a more competitive team than you've had.
They had Tyrann Mathieu last year too.
You had one of the best edge rushers of the modern era in J.J. Watt, Jadeveon Clowney across from him, who's not the greatest edge rusher, but pretty elite against the run and still solid. You had important players at important positions, and you let the butt chin do it.
Never trust anyone with a butt chin.
Never.
Been saying that for years.
Not even Superman.
He's a butt chin?
Yeah, he's got the chin.
Speaking of Clowney, this guy's still, I know we talked about him last week, he's still on the market.
And Winston, your boy.
Listen, we'll get
there's three number one overall picks available right now, and nobody's biting, or
it's
they're
weird.
not biting.
But I mean, there's got to be Clowney is different than the quarterbacks because teams can use Clowney. It's crazy to me that he's
teams
still
can't
available.
use Cam Newton.
He was one of the what?
So teams can't use Cam Newton. It's not like
everyone has a quarterback.
Yeah, the Chargers have Tyrod Taylor.
All right, we've talked enough about that.
Next Mahomes.
What I'm saying is that Clowney was the top free agent when everyone was available. And he's still the top free agent.
Yeah, because he priced himself out of early free agency. He could have probably had a deal by now if he didn't think he was worth more than he is.
And now it seems like Seattle is not going to bring him back. Reports were coming out that it's unlikely that he returns to Seattle. So I don't really see an obvious landing spot for him now.
This is the problem with him, and I'm not going to put it on Cam because he got cut late into free agency, but this is the point where teams have already used a lot of that money and gotten the players to fill spots, and they don't have that money to spend $17 million on Clowney and whatever upwards of $20 million on Cam and whatever Winston wants. They're going to have to either take a 1-year prove-it deal at a low price or take what they can get on a long-term deal and not what they were expecting. Just too late at this point. Teams, the draft is in 20 days. Teams need at least $10 million for draft picks. They're already pretty much set. So they're just in weird situations.
I think Clowney will end up on a 1-year contract somewhere.
Titans.
And then he'll be right back in the same position next year.
Unless he balls out and somebody wants to pay him.
That's what we've been waiting for the last 4 seasons, no? When he's been bouncing around from team to team.
Well, what you would hope is...
can't settle.
I would hope if I was him, someone gives me a 1-year deal and I prove some worth early in the season and towards the middle and they extend me or something.
How good are Airheads?
So good.
Wow, that looks amazing.
I think I've had 7 today. They're the best.
I'm tired of hearing about Jadeveon Clowney. If he was that good, he'd just get a big deal.
He is
Be
good.
good.
It's just he's not what people. That's what happens when these guys are free agents and they just price themselves out of the market. You know, they expect too much.
He's his fucking agent. He should just sign a long-term deal and like stop crying. You'll make. He definitely got like a $50 million contract somewhere. Somebody would pay him like 5 years, $50 mil.
Yeah, I mean,
He's very good. I like him a lot.
the thing with NFL contracts.
The
is
hell
just-
does he want? Does he want to be the highest paid defender in the league or something?
He
Like,
was
he's
looking
not
for that type
good.
of money, but the thing with these contracts in the NFL is that the guaranteed money is really all that matters because you can structure it that they have all of it guaranteed in the first 2 years, and then they can get cut. So you could sign that 4-year, 5-year, $50 million deal, getting $10 to $12 million per year, but then they can cut you after 2 years, and then you only get 20 of it.
Mhm.
And then
It's a unique
Only get
situation.
$20
I feel like
million.
But that's what their thought process is. They're thinking, I can get this 1-year deal, bet on myself, and get more guaranteed money, and then I'll be better off. But
I think
sometimes
he's worth $17 million. I think it's more at this stage what you said, Richard, that teams are kind of set with their cap space, and it's very like you have to have a team right now that needs to bring in an edge rusher and can afford $17 million. After this phase of free agency, that's probably rare to come by, and that's why it's difficult for him to find a landing spot. Like you could have a team that's desperate for a defensive lineman, but they can't afford it. Like it's not a knock on Clowney. It's just the money doesn't work because he's not going to take a $5 million contract.
Mhm.
Somebody will pay him eventually.
it's just I just can't believe that him and like Cam, like I said, he was cut a little late, but him and Winston haven't found a team. It's pretty weird.
You saw what Winston said the other day?
No.
That he was, I'll pull it up. He was like, it's an honor that it took the greatest quarterback of all time to be the one to replace me.
Yeah.
That's,
Hey, yeah, really
that's
has a way with words.
I respect it. That's a good way to look at it, you know?
Hey, they were going to bring him back otherwise.
Exactly.
It is very weird that him and Cam they really don't have a clear-cut suitor. I feel like we talk about this every week, but like,
Yeah, it's just
Nobody
like getting
needs 'em.
more and more evident that they don't have much of a market, you know? So it's weird to think. I mean, not as much with Winston, but Cam, you know,
Maybe they'll get signed when a quarterback goes down, if somebody gets hurt,
that late in the year though.
yeah.
training
Want-
camp.
I feel like you want
It'll
that
happen.
guy on your
It's
roster.
like a weird double-edged sword with them. Because, like, they're obviously good enough players to be, like, starters somewhere. But also, if you have, like, a quarterback situation set, signing them just, like, throws a wrench in it. And, like, causes all, like, this quarterback controversy and drama. So, like, teams are probably like, is it worth... And then on top of that, you have to pay them a lot.
Yeah. Like the Patriots, they obviously need a quarterback, but they don't have any money to bring in either of those guys.
Yeah.
They have no cap space, but Jarrett Stidham is their starting quarterback. That's not good.
They have faith.
Brian Hoyer.
Like, what are they doing? Sign Cam
That
Newton.
fucking guy.
Make
They're
create
going to
some
really
space.
be bad.
Imagine they're bad. Be a weird sight.
If they go into the season with Jared Stidham and Brian Hoyer as their quarterbacks, they'll definitely be bad.
Yeah, and they'll probably get a rookie in the draft, but still, like, add that unknown rookie to those two guys, and you're still not looking too great.
The draft, you said?
I teed you up for that one.
Yeah.
Go
I
ahead.
wonder how they're gonna pick him.
Yeah. Yeah, clean segue here. I'm going to steal it from Richard. The NFL draft has officially announced that they're going through with the NFL has officially announced that they're going through with the draft. It will be fully virtual, with teams, GMs in their homes making the picks. And they're going to call in somehow, or they're going to have a conference call with all 32 GMs and announce their picks to the room. But what's interesting is that these teams are not going to be allowed to have even like makeshift war rooms with their staff and their scouts and their assistants. They're on their own. So they're going to be communicating with those guys, I'm sure, but they won't be all together bouncing ideas and deliberating in real time. Which, honestly, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think it's being blown way out of proportion. At this point, you have all the information. See how the board falls. Pick the guy on the top of your big board. But it's going to be fun to watch, at least. It'll be interesting how ESPN covers that.
It'll be cool how they go about, televising the draft and what their strategy is going to be there. Obviously, will have to be a lot more of the hosts, not the hosts, the analysts that sit there, like Kuiper and whoever else. They're going to have to put on more of a show, probably have more film and video of these prospects, because you're not going to be able to go to the where they're drafting, wherever they were going to draft. They were supposed to come out on a boat or something, right?
Yeah.
In Vegas, it was supposed to be. Yeah, they're supposed to do this whole thing. Like, you're not going to be able to cut to the draft and show everyone in there and the reactions of the fans and all that. So you're going to have to fill up that TV time. So it'll be interesting to see what they do there. Maybe it'll be a little more educational, give us a little more background on these players, actually, instead of that quick, 1 minute highlight
fluff.
where Kuiper's like, this guy's got he's big, he's strong, and he's fast. Look at him going here. And then, like, he just says, like, the same thing about everyone. But I think it is a little concerning if you're a GM or one of these people doing the drafts to not be able to meet up, because it's called the war room for a reason, like it's intense in there. Shit doesn't go the way you want it to go in the NFL draft. Stuff's gonna go down. Someone's gonna get picked somewhere. Someone's gonna trade up. Someone's gonna call. People are gonna be calling you this and that. And when someone's calling fucking Joe Douglas, he's got to communicate to his right-hand man, hey, we got these people saying this. Like, what do you think? He's not just going to make the decision on the fly on his own. You want to communicate to everyone. Are they going to do it through Zoom? Are they going to have, like, 20 people on a Zoom?
Will.
Yeah, they're going to have 20 people on a Zoom. How are people going to chime in? Hey, this, this team's taking this guy. Like, how do you coordinate who's speaking and not talking over each other, this and that? It's going to be definitely more complicated than usual. I'm sure they'll be able to get through it. But there is a valid concern there. I think there's obviously a big benefit to being in the same room with all these people that you work with the whole year to make sure you're all on the same page.
One thing I read was that the NFL doesn't plan to extend the clock time. It's still going to be the same time that it's always been, which it kind of does put a little pressure on to, at least, especially if you're trying to wheel and deal and like make a trade. You're going to want to get that done before you're on the clock. Just because, like you said, you're going to have to call the other team, then go back to your guys, get the call back to the GM, accept or decline, counter offer, and there's with 10 minutes on the clock, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it'll definitely put a little more pressure on them. I do think they draw out the clock when they're televising it.
Yeah,
they probably get the pick in, and they added extra 2 minutes.
You see it all the time. The pick is in, and then they just cut to commercial.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, it's the only. I'm happy they're doing it. I need the NFL. If they delayed this, I would be miserable. Yeah. I need to know.
I think this is a great opportunity for the NFL, because anybody who has a tiny bit of care about sports is going to be tuning into this, just dying for some sort of something new, not like rewatching the 1995 World Series. So I'm sure the ratings for the NFL draft this year will be higher than ever. And we're doing it right now. Obviously, it's not to the extent of a war room where you're sitting in a press conference with all your staff arguing over who to take, but it can happen virtually. teams are going to have to figure out a way for people to not be like yelling over each other in these Zoom chats or whatever platform they use. But the like we always say, the good teams will figure out a way to do it and do it well. And the teams with good staffs and good processes and good strategies going into this will end up having the best drafts.
Yeah, and if you're a good strategist like that, maybe you even possibly benefit a little more by the required rigid structure of it, you know? Like making
100%.
Everyone got to be on their A game for this, so maybe you get the most. Maybe everyone's thoughts are on point. Maybe they know. Maybe they know that. Maybe
if
they
you're
know.
a really good GM, you're looking. I think you should be looking at this as like an opportunity to get even more ahead of teams that may be like a little bit more behind.
Do you think that this makes it the virtual draft? Do you think it makes it easier or harder for the Patriots to hack into other teams' databases and steal information?
Well, supposedly Zoom's security. Supposedly Zoom has a lot of security issues, so
Yeah.
look for the Patriots to have a good draft.
So Belichick is licking his lips right now.
This is back to the first topic, but I know one of the things they were talking about for the MLB was possibly having the players mic'd up the entire time, like how they did for that spring training.
Yeah,
and I was like, I was gonna make a joke, like it'll be a matter of time before the Astros have everyone's audio like in there talking about the signs and the same shit. But yeah,
that was some of the concern though, actually, from NFL teams, the security systems, and making sure that information is not getting hacked or leaking out to other teams.
Yeah, it's
how hard could it be? Like we have cell phones here, like. And I said this today. If I'm making a pick, just call Roger Goodell, tell him I'm taking this guy.
Okay, but it's one thing to just call someone in the middle of whenever you want, when the entire NFL and all these people and these organizations are all at the same time, when everyone knows that they're doing it, holding this draft virtually. People can focus on that instead of just.
There will definitely be a bunch of like fail safes.
I don't think they're going to get hacked, but
yeah. But where it's like, all right, if this goes wrong, then like this is plan B, and then if plan B goes wrong, like this is plan C.
Yeah. What if someone's internet crashes when they're on the clock?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Well, then you got to call Goodell. Like Alex just said, there's probably plan B, C. Like if your internet goes out, you have this phone. If your phone line gets cut, run here.
I saw some GM was like. Some GM's concern was like, what if I'm on the clock and like I'm sitting in my office and like my son runs in the room and like tells me that like I gotta go in and like take care of some shit. It's like they're gonna be in their house with their families. And
yeah, well, tell your family
grinding.
To shut the fuck up.
It's gonna be so funny.
Yeah.
Dad,
fucking nanny.
Molly fell in the well. Well, she could stay there. Denzel Mims is on the clock. On the board. Fuck.
Yeah, that would be funny. Your son runs in and you're just like, the fuck out of here. Not now. Not now. Signing between left tackle and cornerback, okay?
What
if the Suns come in and like press send by accident? So they like send the pick to Roger Goodell.
You gotta just kill him.
You gotta take it and just hope he becomes a stud.
I'm excited though. I really am excited to see.
I can't wait for the draft.
How they go about this.
I can't wait for anything to do with sports.
Yeah, it feels so far away too. See, here's the thing about this.
It's 2 weeks from today.
And this is with like even before there was a virus. When you look forward to things that are like later in the year, it's great when you get there, but it also sucks when the year flies by. Like, obviously, we're all looking forward to the end of this and when we can be normal. But by that time, it's going to be, like, almost 2021.
Is a complete wash.
Yeah.
Like, it's already over with.
It's crazy.
Dude, literally in, like, there was one really nice day in the beginning of March, and I was like, I wrote in LeVar's Lair, I was like, I'm not waiting until like Cinco de Mayo to pretend like it's summer. Like I'm gonna spend time outside. Like I'm gonna have a beer, and then like the next day it's like coronavirus.
Everything shuts
like,
down.
well.
It was fun while it lasted. It was a good
I'm
idea.
not even. We didn't even. It didn't get that far. We had 25 days of a good 2020, and then the unspeakable happened. So
Yeah.
it's been all downhill from there.
It's funny too because I literally said before any of that happened, I was like, how everyone says every year sucks and like they're all the same.
Yeah.
And it's like people who are like, oh, 2020, you suck. Like,
Yeah.
can't wait for 2021. But like, it's real this time.
Yeah.
This
And
year's
you know what?
been
What sucked?
miserable.
What I was referencing, obviously, if you didn't catch on when you were listening, was Kobe. What sucked about that was that it like was a whole like month thing, you know, like the memorial for them was on February 24th. So like we only had like a week after that until like everything goes to shit.
Yeah, it was
And,
immediate.
like so we're thinking about Kobe for a month and his daughter and all those people, and then you know finally we get this big grand send off, and you finally your heart sort of you know lets it go, and then now we haven't seen each other in 3 months.
It's fucking crazy. But this is where we are right now.
And that's what the memo is here for.
Yep.
The memo is here for you to pass that time.
Yeah. But
We
the
won't
NFL
stop
draft
coming
is
with the
gonna-
content.
Yeah, we're on a surge,
I got
baby.
content coming out of my fucking ears right now.
Every day I wake up,
Yeah.
I'm
to
like,
the brim with
I'm like,
content.
where's the
I
content?
hope you all have noticed
Yeah.
our ramp up in production.
All we've been doing is dropping content.
Yeah, if
We
you
have
if you
more
could,
coming out
you
tomorrow.
better not go on Instagram or Twitter or whatever and be like, there's nothing to do. You know, there is. There's memo articles to read. There's podcasts to listen to. There's multiple podcasts to listen to.
We're
There's,
here.
you
We'll
know,
hold your hand through all this.
Yeah,
social
and
media to
we
reach
were
out.
Zoom chatting months ago
Yeah,
before the virus.
we did a Zoom. We were
Called being
doing.
proactive.
We've done Zoom podcasts in 2019. So
Just for the fun of it. Just to
Yeah.
say fuck it.
just because
Yeah.
we were like,
We were
imagine,
too lazy to meet up.
we were like, yo, let's pretend there's a virus.
Yeah, we were like, this might happen one day. We got to make sure that we're prepared for the people.
But
know
what were you saying? Because I was going to say something serious.
No, it was dumb. Just go.
Well, next week we got the Richard and Matt mock draft coming. Huh?
Ooh,
Huh?
that'll be fun. Moderator Masados, you ready?
Yeah, we got.
Yeah, I'm ready to read
And
some
it-
team names.
It fell a good way this year because what do the Chargers have? The 6th pick.
Mm-hmm.
So you know we do odd and even. You know we switch off. The Jets have the 11th, so we were able to do Matt gets the Chargers and I get the Jets. It's a nice.
We should
thing
pick
there.
for each other's teams, I think.
Shut the fuck up.
No, it's going to be fun. Next week we'll do the mock draft podcast. But yeah, in all seriousness, we have been pumping out a lot of content. You know, everybody has free time to listen to content. We have the free time to make it. So we're trying to get as much information out there as possible.
Just trying to
Oh,
entertain. Just trying to entertain, bro. And show the NFL how to do a draft.
That's who.
We had our first post to hit 1,000 likes.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Courtesy,
Thank
Richard
you.
Courtesy of
broke our
Richard
Instagram
Lyons.
with that.
What can
yeah,
I
it
say?
Insane.
broke the internet.
What can I say? People want to hear me talk about the worst team in the NFL.
No, it was a lot of fun. But we're pretty much set here, I think, right?
Yeah, I think we had a nice talk.
Peace, guys.
I think
Thank
we had
you
a nice
guys for
talk.
tuning in tomorrow. Oh, well, this won't actually drop till Monday, so make sure to take a look at all the other blog posts that we've put out since then. And that's all I've got to say.
Masados,
Thanks for listening, guys.
thank you, everyone, and we will see you next week for the 2nd annual Memo mock draft. Thank you very much.